So in this video, we are going to discuss how to factor quadratics. So you need this piece of paper in front of you. If for some reason you lost it, just get a blank piece of paper. And you're going to take notes on problems 1 and 2, which I will do with you. And then the bottom 2 problems are homework problems for you to do based on the knowledge that you gather from this video. So to begin with number 1, it says to factor plus x minus 3. So the first thing you need to understand is that this quadratic is in what's called standard form. Standard form looks like this: ax squared plus bx plus c, where a, b, and c. I'm going to write here standard form. This is something that you learned in Algebra 1, so it should just be a review for you. So what factoring does is it takes this standard form equation into factored form. So we're trying to get to factored form, which looks like this, where you're going to have thing and another x plus or minus something in some fashion. And so when we finish this process of factoring, this is what your final answer should look like. So here is the process, and this way works all the time. There's that you may figure, but I'm going to show you the way that always works. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to look at 2x squared. And because the x squared has a number in front of it, we are going to find first just the factors of b2. So those numbers are 2 and 1. And then we're going to look at the x squared, what 2 numbers multiply to be x squared. X times x is equal to x squared. And if you do a quick check here, you should buy 2x times and get 2x squared. And we do. That's how I know that those are correct factors. Then we want to look at the last term, which is your c term, and we want to find factors of negative 3. So you have to be careful. If I'm multiplying 2 numbers to be a negative, then 1 has to be positive and 1 has to be negative. And then what numbers multiply to be 3? Those numbers would be 1 and 3. I'm going to make one of them a positive and one of them a negative. And right now it doesn't matter which one you do. We're going to test it to make sure that we've selected the correct numbers. So in order to test to make sure numbers, we are going to crisscross multiply. So we're going to multiply this times this. So 2x times negative 3, that gives me negative 6x. And we're going to multiply this times times a positive 1 is a positive 1x. So remember, we're multiplying here. We're not adding, we're multiplying. Then these 2 products, we're going to add these together. So x plus a negative 6x is equal to negative 5x. You want this sum that you get from adding these 2 things together to be equal to positive x. They are not equal. The number in front of x here is 1, and the number here in front of x is negative 5. So what that tells me is my signs are wrong and my numbers. But we have that multiply to be 3 are 1 and 3. So what this really means is that I need to switch this 1 and this 3. I need to switch where I put them. Over here, my equation, which you're going to notice that a lot of this is going to be trial and error. And instead of writing the 1 at the top, I'm going to write the 3 at the top and then at the bottom. And I'll keep this a positive 1 and a negative 3, and we'll see if it works. So let's crisscross multiply again. 2x times 1 is 2x, and 1x times a negative 3x. We're going to add these together. And when we add them together, negative 3x plus 2x is a negative 1x. Is that what I wanted it to be? Does this middle term here? It's very close. I have the correct number in front of x now, but this one is negative and I need it to be a positive. So what that means is signs are wrong. So I need to make this negative a positive, and I need to make this positive a negative. And if you try it again, 2x minus or 1 is and 1x times 3 is a positive 3x. And when I add these 2 together, now I get a positive 1x, and that's what I wanted. So once you go here, the reason why we're doing this is because this is going to give us our factors. Our factors come from going straight across like this: 2x plus 3. That's one of my, and 1x minus 1, so that's really just x minus 1, is another factor. And this right here is your factored form. Okay, so now I'm going to do number 2, and I'm going to do it in the same way. So we want factors of x squared. So what times what give me x squared? and that's x times, and I need factor 10, which is this last term here. So when I think of 10, I think of 5 and 2, but you could also try 10 and 1 and see if that works. So here we're going to crisscross multiply. So we're going to multiply x times 2, and that gives me a positive 2x. 5 gives me a positive 5x. I'm going to add these together. 5x plus 2x is 7x. Is that equal to this middle term? And what I hope you notice is that the numbers are correct, but this needs to be a negative. So this positive 5 needs to be a negative 5, and this positive 2 needs to be a negative 2. But let's make sure that when I multiply these two numbers, I get this last term. What is negative 2 times negative 5? Negative times a negative is a positive, so it is still multiplying to be a positive 10. Multiply again, that's going to give me a negative 5x, and when I add those together, I get a negative 7x, which is what I wanted. So you're not done. If I'm writing in, I get my factors from going straight across my work. So x minus 5 is one of my factors, and x minus 2 is another one of my factors. So this would be factored form for number 2. Now, you can check this answer by multiplying these two binomials using either the box method or FOIL, which you should get back to this original problem in standard form. So your job now is to use this work to complete numbers 1 and 2.